different commands available to me. Under Tools, External Tools, you'll see that there's options to compile Java, run Java application, run Java applet, and compile Java colors. These are automatically installed by textpad when you install the JDK first, and then textpad second. However, if you don't have these, really all you need for this environment to be able to compile and run full Java applications is the first two options. And the ideal is that you can use Control+1 to compile, or Control+2 to run at any given point in time once these options are here. But if you don't have these options, well, that's a problem, because when we go to run the applications in the course, that's how we do it, okay? Now, at home, I would like you to be able to do it the same way. But this means that you're going to have to configure the textpad environment in order to be able to do that, okay? I'm just having a little display issue on my computer that I'm not sure if it's translating to the video or not, so I'm minimizing and maximizing textpad to get rid of that display error. So under Tools, External Tools is where you find the options. But to program the options into textpad, if they're not there already, you need to go to the Configure menu. And under the Configure menu, you want to choose Preferences. Now there's lots of stuff here under Preferences, but where we're going to go is to Tools. Under Tools, you'll see I already have Compile Java and Run Java Application. Okay? But if you don't have these, you would click the Add button over here. And then you would choose the DOS command option. And it would ask you to enter a DOS command here. Well, to create the Compile Java option, you would want to type Java C to begin with, because that's the Java compiler command line tool, and then follow it by the name of the Java file that you've created that you want to compile. Well, in textpad, we want textpad to intuitively compile whatever file is open. So to do that, instead of specifying a file name here, we specify a parameter that will substitute the file name at runtime. Okay? The parameter begins with a $sign and is called file. So $file is a parameter that says get the current file name, including its extension, and append it here to the Java C command. That's the entire DOS command. So we're going to click the OK button, and you'll notice that it creates an entry that says Java C $file. Ideally, we want to rename that so that it says Compile Java like this one up here. So we can right-click it. Well, actually, right-click doesn't seem to work. We might have to double-click on it to get into overtype mode. Okay? And then we can type whatever we want. So I'm going to type Compile Java 2 here. Nothing special about the number 2, it's just because I already have one there. Okay? And then we go back to add DOS command again, and this time we want to run an application. We want to create the Run Java application option. So instead of starting with Java C, we're just going to start with Java. Java is the tool within the JDK environment that allows us to run a class file. Now normally after typing Java, we would type the name of the class file, not the name of the source code file, but the name of the file that was generated after compiling. So that will always have a .class extension, but when we are running, we never specify the extension .class. Only the portion before the dot gets specified, which is, again, the file name itself. But we don't want to use $file here, because if we do, as I already explained, that pulls in the extension. Instead, we want to use a different parameter called $base name. Base name is a parameter that says, give me just a portion before the extension, before the dot class. Okay, so again, whatever file is open, that's what will be run. But the assumption is that there's a class file that's already been compiled first. Okay? Clicking the OK button creates that menu option. And then double clicking on that menu option will give us the ability to rename, hopefully. Or maybe just a single click will invoke it instead. Okay? Run Java application 2 is what I'm going to type. Of course, when you're doing this, you won't have compile Java and run Java application at the top, so you'll just name them, literally, compile Java and run Java application. Okay? Once these options are added, then there's a couple of steps that we have to go through to make sure that they're set up, configured correctly. So under the Tools option over here, you'll notice there's an expansion button. Expand it, and you'll see, well, maybe not until you actually click Apply, you'll see the options that you just created. Compile Java 2, run Java application 2. When you click on one of these options, it shows you the parameters that you've typed, the initial folder where it will be run, okay, and some options that can be checked or unchecked. Under the Compile Java option, it should have only two things checked: captured output and sound alert when completed. Make sure those are on. Everything else should be off. But then under the Run Java application, you want to specifically turn off the capture output option. This is because the only way that the textpad environment will be able to run the application properly and allow user input at runtime is if this option is turned off on the run command. Go ahead and click the Apply Settings button. Okay. And that's it. You have now configured properly, so if I click the OK button to close this dialog window and I go back to Tools and point to External Tools, I should see my new options down here at the bottom: Compile Java 2 and Run Java Application 2. Of course, this all would have been empty before, so you'll just have Compile Java and Run Java Application at the top now, because that's what you should have named them. Okay? At this point in time, it should be able to compile and run successfully. However, sometimes the Windows environment does not set the path variable correctly to include the location of the Java C file. So when you go to compile the first time, it might give you an error message saying that Java C is an unrecognized command. If that's the case, you have one more setting to change. So to do that, we would go back to Configure, Preferences, and this time what you need to set is an environment variable. The environment variable needs to be path, and its value needs to be the location where the Java C executable file is installed. It may be different on every computer based on the user profile and based on the version of Java JDK that you have installed, okay? But to create a variable for path, because that would inevitably be missing from there if you're not able to compile, you would click New. And in the name field, you would type path in all uppercase characters. And then in the value field, instead of typing a location, you would use Windows Explorer to find the location. So I'm going to demonstrate how to do that. By opening up a Windows Explorer window, you can then navigate through the C drive structure, which is where all applications are installed. You want to look for the Java JDK environment. Now, which program folder you look in depends on which bit structure you used when you downloaded and installed JDK. If you downloaded and installed a 64-bit JDK, then you would go under Program Files. However, if you downloaded and installed a 32-bit JDK, then you would go under this older Program Files folder called Program Files x86. Now on my computer, I installed the 64-bit version of the Java JDK, so I'm going to go under Program Files, and I'm going to look for the Java folder, which is right here. Inside the Java folder, I should have a JDK folder, and also a JRE folder that matches that JDK. So notice I'm running version 1.8.0 underscore 60 of the JDK and JRE. This JRE 7 is an older version that was updated when I installed this JDK. So it's the JDK folder we want to go inside of. And then the Java C and Java executable tools should always be under the bin folder. So if you click in the bin folder and you look, you'll see Java C.exe here and Java.exe here. Now your extensions may be turned off, so you may not see the .exe, but you should see Java and Java C. As long as those files are located in that bin folder, that's the path that you want to set. So you can click into the URL bar at the top to get the custom path to that bin folder, and then copy it. If you right click on the selection and choose copy, you'll now have the path copied. Once you have the path copied, you no longer need Windows Explorer, so you can close it. In the value field for this new environment variable that you're creating, you would right click and choose paste. Once you do that, you should be able to click the OK button. I can only presume that I can't click the OK button here now because I've already got a path variable. So it's probably recognizing that. But if you'll notice, my path variable's value is set to the same folder structure as this one. Okay? So I'm not going to redundantly create it here. This is just an exercise for how you can create it if it's missing. Okay? You would click OK, I'm going to click cancel. And that's it. That's all there is to configuring textpad. From this point on, any application that you write should be able to compile and run directly within the textpad environment by using the Tools External Tools submenu, or by using Control 1 and Control 2. Control 1 for compile, Control 2 for run. So to test it out, just before I close off this video, I'm going to write a small file. Okay? I'm going to turn off my cap lock there. Public class. Test it. Public static void main. String array. Args. And in a print line command, I'm simply going to output you have now successfully configured textpad. Wow, I can't type tonight, sorry about that. To compile and run Java applications. Okay? If you want